Hello, this is Steve Fierro. My guest today is Bharati Karina Glanert, and she's quite an interesting and incredible woman. She's lived in India, she has studied under yogis, and she's very spiritual. And we're going to have an impromptu conversation today. Not sure where it's going to go, but one of the main things we're going to talk about is, I guess, who we are and what happens when we die. So, Bharati, can you just give a little bit about your background and who you are?
Yes, so my name, as you said, is Bharati, and since like a little kid, I'm a little kid, I had experiences that other people not had so much. But when I was a kid, I thought everybody had them. So, for example, I saw people who passed away. So I saw, things that were on the other side. My grandma also had some abilities. My grandfather actually studied the books of Eric von Däniken. So we actually, my father also, we had discussions about UFOs on the Christmas tree and about other dimensions. So it was kind of normal.
Wow.
And when I came to school, actually, I realized, whoops, people are not like me, and I felt very shy. I was a very shy kid and I never fit in. And I think I still don't fit in. And anyhow, I'm dropped on this planet. I still try to find out who I am. I mean, as all we are, we don't know, but somehow we are here, right? And so I'm very aware of multidimensional energies, and yeah, I'm still trying to figure out also some things. I don't have answers on all the things, but the awakening never stops as long as we actually in this human body, as long as we're always learning every day. And so thank you for inviting me, and we'll see how, how it
You're
leads
welcome.
us.
I always feel really comfortable when I hear your voice and you interviewed me, and I don't know, it's just something that I felt very calm in your presence. So I've told you that, and I really mean that. So, I mean, the conversation today is really, there's a lot of people going through a lot of challenges right now, and people are probably having highs and lows emotionally, but for someone who's had conversations like you mentioned at such a young age, where you're talking about different dimensions with family members and stuff like that before you're even 10 years old. I mean, that's wild. So I guess I always had the distinction. I didn't always. I grew into the distinction of spirituality after growing up Catholic, that and questioning the Catholic religion, I just didn't. There were things that didn't resonate with me. There's a God, and he's all powerful, and it's a man, and he's sort of like, okay, you're in, you're out. Oh, you had a Ferrari, you're cool. You're in. And it just never made sense to me. The whole thing just didn't add up. So the distinctions I came to were through reading and maybe dialogue with people like you. And, one of the first things you start to realize is you're not your body, and, your body's temporary, and who you are is infinite and it's eternal. And that's the soul aspect, the spiritual aspect. So, but when you're here physically, it's hard to say, hey, don't worry, this is very temporary. We're here to learn. And you live, you're eternal, and there's all love where you go. And so, just keep moving. Everything's a lesson. Everything's a gift. I mean, do you feel that way here?
I have to say, no. I mean, I had times where I reached that level, and it's very easy when we are in a good place, right? When the illusion is supporting us, when the Maya, the Matrix, is giving us some candy, it's very easy to be there, and it's very easy to say that. But when the illusion gives you a lot of hardship, then the real test is coming, and that is the inner work. That's the shadow work. And I just see behind me, that was no intention, but I see my shadow. So here I'm doing shadow work all the time. So hide your shadow. So, and yes, in the physical body, of course, we have a drive. You want to live, you want to be happy. It's normal. We have hormones in us. We have serotonin when we're happy, and if it's taken for us, we are not happy. So it's very easy to say, but the body has a natural state of being driven to live, of course, and be happy. So Still there's a consciousness, you can have both. You can be in that and still also watch it and be aware of it. And but despair and pain is a very natural thing. And I don't know, I think there's a kind of a level of some spirituality which is not really coming from God, which is, maybe invited by some other energies, which takes you away from your feelings, which tells you that it's not good to have feelings, which tells you, so many things are, to not listen to your heart, for example, or not listen to your intuition, and to always go the easy way. And it's not always the easy way of what's being right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the real spiritual way is tough. So I know some yogis who, really on the real spiritual path, and that goes really intensely. You working with your attachments, you're working with your desires, you're working with everything. You have your demons in you. You're fighting your own demons, and you're fighting also the demons from the outside. So,
Yeah.
and let's make it clear: this is a very tough planet we are on.
Yes.
This is not kindergarten here.
No. Well, also, I believe in reincarnation, or that we've had many, many lives. I believe in galactic lives as well as earthly lives. So, I mean, who knows? But the thing is, you talked about pain and stuff. So every incarnation, I guess we just have so much trauma, you could call it, that's in the DNA, and that is holding us back, or causing a program to be run or a ritual to be run that we're at the mercy of. And I mean, I guess there's this whole idea that we design our lives and we come down here, and there's contracts and there's agreements and stuff like that. So, but do we come down here knowing it's going to be a shit show of pain and suffering?
I think, let me tell that is a very good thing what you say with the DNA. First I want to say that there's a lot of, like Laura Eisenhower is calling it junk DNA. Okay, there's a lot of, I don't understand fully yet what she means by that, but in my awareness, what I think is that exactly that, the pain which is giving us from all the lifetimes of experiences. So, see, if you do trauma work, like I had right now a psychologist in the Darkness Retreat, so it's a very good friend of mine. And he actually said, Bharati, there is nobody, when I'm doing sessions with people, who is not really realizing at some time that there's always somebody in the family who got traumatized by war or by something that happened from the outside to them, and and that is traveled, that we know that right now in the Indian tradition, they say 21 generations. Can you imagine 21 generations pain is traveling? So so we cannot imagine to live on a planet without pain, because this is normal for us. The war is normal for us. Somehow we are brainwashed into, okay, we are living in a world where there is pain and there's hatred and there's all that things. So somehow that's in our belief system and our DNA, right? And that is a collective heartbreak. And the point is, if we don't heal that collective heartbreak, how is it possible for us as a human society to lift up? So there are energies feeding on that. There are energies who are doing parties when they won a war, right? This is unbelievable for us human beings, because the human beings are so attacked, also one part, because we're very innocent beings. For some of these beings, we are like animals, but for other beings, other light beings, we are also seen as a very powerful race, but we don't know that. And we can only be powerful if we heal our heart. So you can imagine why the attack on the heart chakra is so strong, right? In a collective, not just in our personal life. So we are more than that. Of course, we're all more than that, no matter what karma we have, what we are. Many of us are tricked in here. Many of us don't even have to come here. There's so many ways why we are here.
Yes.
Some are coming because we are so crazy to think we can help you, right?
Yeah.
You might come from another dimension, be like, oh,
I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna make change. Yeah.
So maybe we do that, but we
Yeah.
underestimated what the price is for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know, and the point is, it's so, you know, it's so powerful. This planet is so powerful, you know, in this level of heartbreak and energy, that it easily can trap you into thousands of years of reincarnation again. I mean, the Indian tradition, I lived 10 years in India, and they always talk about that you know, even to have the wish to step off this Maya, to step out this matrix. They say in the very old scriptures, the soul needed a minimum of 1,000 lifetimes here normally.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that is amazing. You know, not all of us are here since thousands of lifetimes. There are many people who come from different places.
Yeah.
But the normal soul who here is incarnated needs thousands of years, 1,000 years, to even have the wish to step out.
Yeah. So, well, also, you know, what you mentioned was we're naive, we're good beings, you know, humans are good-hearted, and they, you know, we come in here as a soul that occupies a body, and we're I guess we come here with amnesia. We're like a Men in Black. Our minds are wiped, so we don't have any recollection of past lives. For most of us, don't, or what pain is holding us back. But we're also in a world that, as soon as we're born, everyone has this similar indoctrinated belief system of, you know, right, wrong, success, failure, good, bad, you know, and so, like you said, it's how do you, we come here with not remembering who we are, and we're in this very human experience, and the idea is sort of to self-realize, but nothing is really, everything that we're experiencing here is all about sort of limiting us and keeping us from self-realization. So we have that going against us. So I guess what I want to go with is, I mean, in some respects, in line with that, I feel like almost the whole, you know, idea, maybe the goal of being human is to become self-realized or wake up to who we really are, not the body, so we can get out of here. Yes or no? I mean, is there?
You got a very powerful point. There's a level of enlightenment where you actually start to understand that we can have happy moments. We all have happy moments in life, right? And yeah, but you know, see, we only know that level. Most of the people only know that level, right? I'm very lucky that I have few other experiences. I mean, I wish I could have more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's you know, that is what you should pray for, to get you know, to experience your multi-dimensional being. Once you open that up,
Yeah.
your pain here becomes unease. You cannot find a solution in this Maya, right? For what you feeling so deeply in the soul, but same time, there are some rules. When we realize that, it's, you know, nobody's helped if we sit in depression in the corner and cry every day. Even so, in spiritual experiences, you might have times like that where you wake up to shit, okay? But you know, there is a level, once, you know, there's a goddess grace coming in, and this love and this light, and that is nothing like braveness or something. It's just like a mother's love. It's just unconditional. It just comes to you. And that's why spirituality is so important, especially in times like that. Because now, also, when you asked me before that, you know, when the light will win, how it will look, it will be intense for many people. right? And see, when we have that connection to the divine, there's always something we have others don't have, right? And that is the time now to get that, because that will also decide if you have that connection or not, on which decisions you do for your soul in the future times to come.
Yes, I see. Well, basically, we're sovereign beings as long as we choose to be even mentally, even if we have shackles on. It's a mental decision by our decisions that we declare our sovereignty as a soul. And that's, well, I think we'll touch on that, but I wanted to, on the topic of coming here sort of wiped, amnesia, we occupy this physical body, we're in a human experience of competition and duality and contrast, and we get beliefs from our teachers, our parents, we sort of, however my mother cooked the turkey is probably how, or, however, you cook the turkey the way your mother cooked it. It's like everything gets passed on, and it's hard to change and break out of that. So upon death, does our belief system not only carry over into the death experience, but does it dictate what happens when we die?
Yeah. And that is a big thing, you can have a full other illusion there. And you can, there's even a false light. If you go in that, you're just like, again, sitting here with your diapers on again. And again, you go here.
So while we're on that, while you mentioned that, so, and we don't have to make this show that much on that, but I'm going to break this down and simplify it in the way I would understand it, that if you're someone who's very human and thinks you're your body your entire life, which is natural, I'm Steve, I'm a banker or whatever, and I do this and I do that, and I'm good at this and I'm good at that, and I'm human, and that's all there is. And I respond to authority, and whatever I'm told I do like a good person, and that's sort of my training from being a kid in school to, listen to a doctor with a white coat and listen to the policeman with a uniform on, and, listen to the science experts who are at an institution that is an authority, and whatever they say, you listen to. And then when I die, I'm probably more subject, if I was responsive to authority as a human, to be responsive to authority perhaps in the astral, if it exists.
Yes, one part, that's true. Yes, there are some souls still, even there seem to be an illusion, but they are so good souls that the divine itself will take care of them. So It's not just our work only. There are some karmic laws, and that is always what the negative side is trying to tell us, that there are no karmic laws, but there are. Yeah. And once you have a certain soul vibration, you just don't frequent on this. If you learned enough on this, you have a chance. You have a chance to come off here.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like, I'm not religious, but if you want to, Jesus is obviously a very popular character, and people are, even if you're, any religion, that the basic saying of Jesus was, look within, know thyself. And in a sense, I look at it like he was saying, if the whole experience was real, like he was saying, stop being human, stop being so absorbed as a human, and look inside, because that's the only way out of here.
Yeah.
In a sense. So yeah, Go on.
Yeah. I know there's also a false Jesus, and there's so much manipulation, and but for sure, no matter what the story created, or for sure there's the light, let's say like that. 100%. There's the light.
Yeah, I mean, the story where you're supposed to get salvation through somebody else, that's not something I gravitate to. But to stay on topic, where we're talking about sort of, who you are in this life as a human, and how what your belief system is and what you think life is and who you think you are, sort of carries over into maybe the astral experience or to the other side. I guess, which it kind of brings me to I maybe have already said it, but it kind of brings me to the thing where it's like, the more you stay transfixed on the human experience, the more you're tending to repeat and come back, because you're not going to get out of the loop.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, you know, I mean, many people don't even want to go out. I had a discussion with some friends recently, and some of them really want to go out. They're just like, we're already, you know, making appointments with each other. If somebody goes, what signs we do. I already have some friends passed over, and they already give signs to me.
Did they really?
Yeah. I have a very good friend. He was, he helped me a lot. He was 70 when he died. He and his wife helped me a lot on my journey, also financially, that I could stay in India. Oh, and he was a very, very spiritual soul, Herman. I called him my spiritual father. Wow. And before he died, he came to my seminar house, and he actually talked to me, and he gave me some books about certain subjects, and he said I should read that. And you know, if he's over, he tries to make contact, but he might be very difficult. He will see, I can feel it's difficult, you know. But yeah, and actually also I had other experiences as well, especially recently from my aunt. And you know, that is our team over there. And this is very powerful, you know, if you get awareness over that, it's very beautiful, because we lose one part. I mean, it's very human to have fear of death, but one part you have a little bit more of the bridge there. Yeah. And sometimes they can give you even informations. I mean, this is how they work also with yogis a lot, and sadhus, and also with the negative magic side. They're working a lot with spirits who give them information. They're misusing the spirits. The light side would not misusing it. Mm-hmm. The light side is working differently. But you know, if you're on the light side, they're coming in certain times and just giving you information, and you're like, wow, what? Mm. And that's cool. So there are certain things going on. Yeah.
So I mean, I have a lot of questions. Like I also want to get, the one thing I guess I'll ask while we're sort of on the topic of when you cross over is, I mean, we all have this spark of divinity in us, is how I see it. However much we realize it, I'm not sure. There's a theory that we're so attached to this human experience, and we've been doing it so long that we've forgotten about our divinity, and that we're connected, you know, like the string of, we're a fractal of source, and there's the connections there, whether we like it or not. So given that, when we cross over, when we die, okay, if I say cross over, that means when we die, we leave our bodies. I mean, what do you think happens? Like, is there love? Is there dark alleys? Are there, you know, I know maybe for everyone isn't, but I would think that there's, you know, it's like, hey, you know, you just completed a really tough assignment. Welcome back. There's different levels of the astral where your body's still very etheric, and you can have, maybe you could show up as Steve, I could show up as Charlie, or maybe another past life. But then I assume as you become more, I guess, elevated in your vibration, that you start to lose even the human aspect or the body aspect. So, but when we die, the big question used to be, what happens when we die? Because no one knows. But what do you think happens in general? Is it a beautiful experience? Is it confusing? Is it, you know, are there people to help? Or, you know, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I had, you know, even 3 years from now, before, I had a very different view on what I have now. I mean, this awakening never stops. And I had the good luck, let's say like that, and I really recommend that, to lose the fear of death. There's a very good book. It's called The 7 Good Ways of Dying, from Dorothea. I forgot her last name. 7 Good Ways of Dying. So okay, please Google it up. It's really, really good book. Mm-hmm. And actually, I never had fear of seeing somebody die. So I came across some souls who died, and I had them holding their hand by the process, or saw them a few hours later. So
How
I
old
saw
were you
my
when this happened?
first time I was 3 or 4. It was my grandma. Then, I mean, it was very, see, when you see dead people as a child,
Yeah.
you have naturally a very different view of things. And actually, I thought everybody saw that. For me, it's
Yeah.
like, if you said
Well,
it's
let me
incredible.
make a distinction too. When some people will think, well, when you're 3, how could you know anything? It's not, the soul is not 3.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The body is 3. So
The body is true.
you're not connecting. You're connecting with your dead grandmother on a soul level, not a baby,
Yep.
not a 3-year-old baby level, right?
No,
So
no, 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 no.
yeah.
Yes.
So explain. So she showed up. Your grandmother showed up, and
No, she was very sick. She had a cancer, and I actually had long time no memory on it. And then suddenly the memory came back, and I started to remember how I was standing next to her and how it made me feel, and that I knew that her body is done and she will cross over, and that there was no fear of it. It was just love, and I felt very good. And then the biggest experience I personally had was when my grandma went away, because she was very near and dear to me, very, very near and dear. She's one of the dearest souls I ever had in my life. And we are like kind of so strong together. So when she died, actually, I spent a lot of time the day, I think the next day when she died, sitting next to her body. I think for almost 2-3 hours.
oh wow, how old were you?
Oh my gosh, I think 19.
19.
20.
This is your grandmother?
Mm.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe I was a little older.
Okay.
Something like
Roughly
that.
19. Yeah.
And that I think I was 20 or 21 already. I'm very bad in numbers.
It
Time
doesn't. I
flies.
mean, roughly, like, were you
Roughly
5?
like
Were
that.
you, yeah. So.
Yeah. And the thing was, it was so hard for the mind to understand that the body is gone. It's so hard. And when you sit next to somebody you love and you meditate and you're sending love, you can feel there is a presence of her soul. And later only I learned in India that the soul is really re-entering the body until 9 days after death.
Okay.
So that's why, even if you die, you might be able to hear even in your physical body for 3 more days. That's why we say you should be careful what you're saying next to a dead
Oh
body.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then the next thing was when my father died. That was a really miracle thing, because he had a brain cancer. He had a cancer in his lungs and later in his brain. And that's why I came back from India later, because
Okay.
I felt I saw that will happen in a darkness retreat I did. He appeared in front of me and he said soon he will have he will have a diagnosis and I should be not afraid. And
Okay.
he didn't even know at the time that he has a cancer when he appeared in
So
front of me.
who told you he has who said your dad has a diagnosis of?
He himself, his soul, appeared in the darkness retreat and told me.
Wow.
The
Okay.
diagnosis came a few weeks later with the
Okay.
X-ray.
Okay.
That's why I stayed in Germany, because I felt, okay, now it's not the time to be in India, happy meditating under the tree, I have a duty to be in the family and help my mother and stuff.
Gotcha.
And yeah, actually the doctor said he has 1 more month to live, and he lived over 1 year. And that was a really miracle thing, because the doctors told he will have a lot of pain. And I called some yogis in India and I said, you know what, now I really need your help. I don't want my father to have pain. I pray that he's not like choking, I want him to have a peaceful death. And one yogi I know very closely, he said, it's done. So he gave me a yantra. And, the doctor couldn't believe it until the end of his day. He gave me his 24-hour emergency call number. He said, your father will have so much pain. No matter what it is, we make him so that he gets morphium, that he doesn't have pain. Until the last day, he didn't have pain.
That's
and
crazy.
He just went to sleep. And the last words he said to me on the phone is like, now everything is okay. Everything will be good.
Oh, wow.
And he smiled and he went.
That's
Then
amazing.
I went with the train to see him. I said to my mother, don't take him away. Leave him in his bed. And he looked so peaceful. And I saw his soul. I saw his vibration over his body. And it was glittering. And
Wow. That's
3
amazing.
days later, that glittering was gone.
Huh.
And I knew his soul was gone. And I said to my mother, now is the time we can ask them to bring him out.
Wow. Wow. So 2 things with that. What did you do with the mantra to keep your dad's pain 0? Like, is this something you kept repeating? Was it something that you prayed? Yeah.
Yeah, I prayed and repeated it, and I gave some energy object to him. He didn't believe that, so I just gave it to him. He said, you know what? Just do me the favor, just keep it, no matter what.
So, and then since he's, since that time, have you had any connection with him? Does he show up?
Yeah, he was very busy in life. He was very busy in life, and he kept up like that sometimes and said, oh, I am so busy, but I have a letter for you. You can read it, but I have to work. And then he left me a letter, and I read it, and yeah, things like that.
Wow. All right. So given that, the thing that came to mind is, so what happens? What do we do on the other side? Who are we? Do we have bodies? What do we do? Like, are we individuals? Do we have feelings of hate? I mean, is it possible to hate on the other, that kind of stuff?
Sure. I'm sorry, I lost my own point. So that was many years ago when my father died. And then I had another experience. I want to tell you that, and then I tell you my conclusion of it. A very, very best friend of mine, who also took care of my daughter a lot and helped me so much in my household. Her name is Andrea. 2 years ago, got diagnosed with cancer. And I just had a feeling that will be not going well. She was very overweight, and she, in I think half a year or something, she didn't make it. So before she left her body, I'm in close contact with her mother too. And I called Karin, her mother, and she said, Andrea gets that weird dreams. She sees the aliens, she sees grace, she sees forces who want to take her into the dark side, and that was not cool, okay? And we have to understand that we are not alone. There are many different beings, there are many different energies, and some energies who think they control the universe. And anyhow, I think 2 weeks after the dream, she passed away. So I started to pray a lot for her. And then after a few days after she died, she gave me a sign in a dream. She came and she was sitting in a beautiful train. And she said, thank you, you changed my train.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So you changed my train, and I'm on another train. I have good food, I have good things, but I have to drive away, because if I stay here, I have to come back. And but I see you in another place, and thank you so much. And I know she is free and happy. So
that's amazing. So what do you think her experience is like on the other side? What's she doing? Can she hear, does she have a life over there? What what happens when we're out of the body? It's our natural state, basically, right? Because bodies are temporary.
Absolutely. She comes sometimes in my dreams, and she actually gives me a very funny business advice, which I didn't follow because I felt that is so strange. She told me a year ago, I'm so bad in this business stuff, but she told me there will be something like something where you do I'm not in bakery. She was in bakery, and there is something you design the you know, how do you say, the cakes,
Yeah.
really good designs, and that will be coming out soon, and people will do a lot of money with that. And then that same thing, actually, 1 month later, I saw in a store, in an online store, the first time, and I saw somebody put a patent on it. I was like, what?
Oh God, maybe that's funny.
So of course they will, you know, and she's in her own her, you know,
Yeah.
that's the thing, you know. I think she's baking cakes and she's in her own stuff. I think there are different levels, and there's not just that we are all get enlightened fully and that we get back to the light. There are many different dimensions, and we have to see, you know, there's a guru who told me about 21 dimensions. So if we talk to even go in the fifth dimensions, I don't even know if this is trap 2. I mean, I want to go into the light. I don't want to be stuck in any dimension anymore.
But if if you go back into the light, you're, you know, every aspect of your humanity and every life you had is gone, right? I mean,
and I'm happy to. I would love a merge with the light. I would love to.
I'm like that a lot too, you know?
Yeah.
You know, something, so I wanted to get into, there's always been a conundrum of mine, because as you get into spirituality and you're stepping away from religion, and you're realizing you're not just your body, and your body's temporary, and who you really are is not the guy who is a banker or an accountant or a doctor. That's just a label and an identity. I start to think, okay, well, there's that aspect that, you know, everything's forgiven because from a source or a spiritual stance, everything's in divine order. So I said, okay, well then, does someone come here? What happens to a girl who's raped when she's 5 years old? Is this forgiven? Is it something she charted and contracted before she came into the body? I mean, these are the questions I can't answer. Do you have any you know, ideas on what's going on? I know there's a whole idea we can be tricked into lives of pain and suffering. We don't really, we could maybe go there later, but let's just, my general question is, do we sign up for what we experience here? Is our lives charted, and did we sign on the bottom line and say, okay, I'm going to go and have cancer, I'm going to get raped when I'm 5. I'm just being graphic because I'm trying to figure out, is the guy who raped her, maybe in a past life, was he raped by her? You know, and this is karma working itself out. Or no, this is never good. I don't know. Is it all forgiven because it's all part of the plan?
It's a very beautiful question. You know, I have a very interesting daughter. She remembers where she comes from. She just told me and my friend, and me, I always say around this, yesterday. She tells me since a year. I tell you what she told me. She said she remembers that she felt, oh, I want to go to Earth. And she also told me, now with what she sees here, how everybody is lying and she doesn't like the energy and she would not choose it again. And but she's a happy girl. She doesn't have any depression. I mean, she's my guru right now, you know.
That's
I mean,
so
she is
awesome.
aware, but she is every time in the moment, and she's laughing. She's 6 now.
Okay.
And this is amazing, you know. She is like, and she actually, she said there are cabinets. There were a wooden cabinet, and in that wooden cabinet there were arms hanging, and that arms are frequencies of different mothers. So, and she felt that frequency, and somebody wanted to grab her, and she's like, no. She freed herself, and then she grabbed mine, and this is how she chose me. And in that cabinet, she could choose how she wants to look at and what she wants to do, and certain things she could choose.
So you're saying as a soul, she chose your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so go on. Yeah.
Somebody else wanted to grab her, and she's like, no, this energy is not good. I want to. And she tells me that story since 1 year, over and over and over again. If you make it up in a crazy mind, you're not telling as a 6-year-old. Yeah, you're not telling the story the same way, exactly the same way over again.
You also know when a kid talks, if it's just a story or if it's something genuine.
Yeah. And so that fits because I remember the night I conceived her. I knew that I might get a baby girl. And I knew that I have the choice to say yes to it, or if I take some high dosages of vitamin C, because then the egg cannot stay. I knew that. I was very aware. I had that connection from the moment.
What you're saying, if you took a lot of vitamin C, you could have aborted the baby?
Not aborted. It just cannot. It cannot stick. It cannot.
Okay.
You know, if the semen cannot just. There are some tricks.
I see.
And I remember that evening thinking, should I take some high dosage of vitamin C, and or not? And I just felt no, and I knew that will be a girl.
Okay.
So we are you know, connected. Yeah. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Anyhow, still I was under shock. My mind was still 1 month later when I got, oh my God, I'm really pregnant. I freaked out completely because my human mind is
that would be, you know, that's a huge thing for a woman. I can only imagine. I'm not a woman, but you know, that's, you know, what the fuck. So.
And also, you know, my mind is not able to comprehend all my spiritual experiences I have. I want to say that too. So many people think because I have that spiritual experiences, I'm now there's a mind, enlightened mind. No, my ego is so strong. My personality.
Yeah, you say that all the time. Like you're like, you know, I've seen you really pissed off. So I mean, I know, like, you know, yeah. But so all right. So getting back to my question, a girl. I'm just using this hypothetical story because I'm trying to portray something that's really bad that happens. You know, does the guy who committed the rape, does he take responsibility and it's forgiven in heaven? Did they sign up to have this experience on earth before they incarnated? Like, you know, I know about soul contracts, and that supposedly everything's contracted, but we have free will and that can change. So how does it work if someone's murdered or tortured? Like, is that part of the plan?
It's a very good question, and I think there's no one answer to it. Yeah. See, let me finish that with my daughter, and then I tell you one experience. Yep. No, but it's a very, very good question.
Okay.
Because I asked her also, did you sign up for something which might hurt you? And she said no. And she said, if something hurts me, God will see and damage them 10 times more. So she has that energy. She is so frightened. She has no fear. She is so brave. As I said, she is my guru. I can learn from her. So anyhow, that's her soul. I don't know about other souls, but I know a friend of mine who lives in Cyprus, very good friend of mine, Stefan. He actually told me about a book about the soul contracts, and he says, you know, there are sometimes souls who signing up for suffering, right? Mm-hmm. And to learn something or to pay off some karma, I don't know. But what I also heard, that the real light, that there is no karma in the real light. If you really ask forgiveness, you know, and you can feel it if you meditate. Even if you're pissed off, if I meditate again, I cannot help it. I love everybody again. This is just the nature of the light, right? I mean, and you know, that's a problem also, you know, because, you know, you cannot stay angry. So sometimes it's healthy to stay angry, right? So, you know.
I think it's bad to bottle up your anger. So
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Yeah, but my point is, there's that whole theory that we design our lives before we come in. Sometimes a million. There's no time in eternity, right? Time's an illusion, essentially, a thing to create physicality is the whole essence of time, because it doesn't really exist. Because if we're eternal, then there's no time with forever. But my question again is do we design lives that have certain experiences like this, and they're part of it, and they look awful, but it was something that was agreed to?
Absolutely. And I think even doing the life, I think more it's like that we have the choices in the life too. See, in my life, for example, I once was, somebody wanted to marry me, and I felt, no, I don't want to do that. And then I went to India, and in the Nadis, I had all of a sudden 2 Nadi books, 2. Mm-hmm. And he said, that's weird. Normally that doesn't happen. Did you not marry at that age? I think it was 24. Mm-hmm. And I was so terrified of doing a wrong move. And so I was running away. I was going to India. And we're still friends. I just was terrified to marry so young.
It's too scary, yeah.
And I somehow I knew it might be a trap. So anyhow, I did that
Well,
later.
I mean, I think marriage is a trap no matter what, but that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's not for everybody a trap. There are couples who fit
No,
together
no.
nicely, but I don't know. No, there are.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, because so this thing I keep bringing up is because is karma real? Do we, if I kill someone in this life, do I have to work that out over the next 100 lives, or is it forgive? But can you? I believe you can bypass karma by realizing yourself and really accepting the light and working. Like, I believe there's a way to get out of here and bypass it all if you become almost self-realized. But I guess the whole question I'm having is, there's stuff I've sort of come to read or understand that at a higher level, it's understood. It's not like you're not a murderer in heaven. It was something that was needed, or I don't, so I'm trying to figure out if this stuff's planned or it's part of the experience, or it's not supposed to happen, or there's a price to pay and you have to, or at a higher level, it's just all in divine perfection.
I think there are many levels to it. And I think what you try to do is to put your finger on one thing. And I think what I try to say here is that there are many levels to it, right?
Okay.
And that one part, yes, you have to pay a certain amount of karma. And in spirituality, we say if you do sadhana, if you do good work, if you do really good deeds, that's why the real spiritual path is really, really difficult. Yeah. If you really do it, if you do the right things, at the end, you only have to pay 1 or 2% of your karma, right? But a normal soul might have to pay 80% of the karma. So it depends, of how far you work on yourself, on how far you're taking responsibility for your actions, and you might have to pay certain things back in this lifetime. And especially those souls who want to have moksha, who want to get free, they might have a super unfair life, it seems on the outside. If you see on the outside, it seems, but it's not. Right?
Yeah.
It seems on the outside, but it's not. If you see the life of Shirdi Sai Baba, of the real powerful saints, not the fake saints, the real ones, not the big speaker gurus, it's the real ones. If you see their lives, they are complete unfair. He was sleeping in front of Shirdi for, I think, 10 years on a stone, and people don't realize who he was. And and his master told him to sleep on a brick because the energy will come to him. And he just did what his master said. He didn't understand it. He just did it anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy peasy. The real way is not easy peasy.
It's also, I've heard the English language can't really describe what the astral, who we are and what life is like on the other side. And then I had a reading with the guy who can read the Akashic records, and he's he's amazing. Like, when he did, before we engaged, he said, "Wait a second, let me make this safe." And like it was online, and he put this bubble of protection over us, and like the microphone all of a sudden like went really low. It was like wild. But I asked him, I said, I have a lot of friends who died in the towers on 9/11 who were murdered. They didn't die. They were murdered by the elites. But at any rate, I asked him, I said, I don't get it. I said, some of my friends who died that day had amazing families. Like, one guy had 6 kids. He was the coolest, happiest. I mean, this guy lit up a room. Everything was good, like, come on, So I said, I don't get it. Why would did he choose to be in the towers that day? And he said, yes. I said, it doesn't make sense. Who would ever agree to have this experience? He said, because you don't understand, on a higher level, you were talking about levels, it was needed, or it was what was needed for the progression of Earth. And I guess maybe our collective progression. So I don't understand exactly what essentially what he said was, at a higher level, it's looked at differently. And the person that agreed to be in the towers that day saw it as, they didn't see it the way a human sees it, as right, wrong, terrible. But I can't see it as anything but awful,
Yeah, that's our human level can only see it awful. And also I have a question on that too, because that was a sacrifice from the elites. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure, how much that is actually,
They were probably duped into it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a ritual. But most people probably won't get that. But the thing is, even if it wasn't, the thing is, would a soul ever say, okay, yeah, I'll I have 6 kids, my life's awesome, and I'm going to go to work one day and have the building collapse? I mean, would they agree to that on the other side before they incarnate? And that he made it seem like yes, he made it seem like we agree to freaking everything at a higher level.
My point is that when I went to India and I had these 2 Nadi readings in front of me, and even now in my life, I have the same situation. I have a feeling I have many ways I could go right now. And, you are given choices. You are not, you are given choices. If you really if you're really aware of it, if you really go in silence, you can see the universe is giving you signs. You also know, you asked me before what will happen to me, and you know it. So, and if you really know it, why you don't take action on it as you should do?
That's true. Yeah, and also, so
That's the point.
maybe there was a chance for him to not go to work that day, but he didn't. He still went. But it was like a whisper, like,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well, or I'm going to stay home with the kids today, or yeah. Wow. Man, this, because the whole thing with soul contracts is, what I understand is like, everything's a contract, but what that whole thing reminds me of is the whole matrix of domination and control on Earth. So it's like, is this whole experience of humanity sort of over here, its sources over there, we're so far away, the strand's still connected, but it's like, the light is basically just shining through, and the darkness really has a grip on this whole experience, even the reincarnation grid.
See, only if you choose the dark side.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to agree to give them the power over you, right?
Yeah.
So that's why there's a free will. And even
Yeah.
if you did that, even that, you have a choice to do another thing. There's this beautiful story of, I always forget names. I'm very bad at names and numbers. And, and I think his name is Milupra. He was a black magician.
Okay.
And he was so powerful, and then he realized, oh shit, that stuff creates really karma. Okay, but now I did all this bad stuff. He was in a Buddhist tradition, and he was very, very powerful. So, but he had some realization that the negative side will hold him back, his soul here. Somehow he got to the realization, and he's like, okay, let me change that. Normally you cannot change that in one lifetime. Normally it takes hundreds of lifetimes to wash out that karma. By the grace of God, he washed it out in one lifetime, and he became a saint.
But he took control. He made the decision.
And that is what every soul has, and that is what the dark side tries to tell you, that you don't have that, or is trying to tell you, if you do that, you're losing everything, or but what can you more lose than your soul?
Well, apparently, I mean, I know you're going to say no, you can, but I mean, I always thought your soul is unbreakable and that you can't be any, but you're saying
there's a level of even souls went too far, and they can be eliminated because it's too dark. I mean, first,
no, I've heard that. I've also heard that look, what do I know? It's just an idea. It's just something I read, but it's like, I've heard that souls who are just so hooked on the human experience, not realizing that they're basically infinite beings, that they're, like you said, that window, that opportunity, if they miss that opportunity to connect back with source, they may never get back.
Absolutely. And that is what is played out right now. And that is what I think. That's why some of the crazy light workers came down and had this crazy idea to each soul counts, to try to wake up. And then we underestimated what that really means. And because, the dark would never let go of that, and would also never let go of the people who work for them, because they are under contract. And the thing is, there's a beautiful story I want to tell that.
Okay.
One time, 2 people died. One is a pastor in a church and a prostitute.
Okay.
And that pastor in a church, he's like going to heaven, and he's like, hey, now I'm in heaven, right? And then, God is not letting him in. He said, no, you always thought on what the prostitute did. The prostitute goes to heaven because she had to do the dirty things, but she had to do it, but she was always thinking on God.
Wow.
So it is not what you play out in life. It is what is in your heart.
Holy
right?
shit. Wow.
God sees that what is in your heart and in your soul. And see, I had experiences, spiritual experiences and out-of-body experiences, which I wish, when I'm pissed off, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I'm afraid, to have them all the time. But in human experience, I don't have them all the time. But I had them where I saw this love and this connection. It's not human. This is so much more. And there's this fake light, what certain energies want to have us and trap us to, and they work a lot of with manipulation and fear in this matrix. And then there's this real thing, and then there's even one more thing. I'm not really 100% sure of it. And that
Okay.
and now it gets really freaky. There are some scientists, who absolutely believe that this matrix is really a game, that we are really
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard
In a
that?
simulation.
Yeah. And that would make sense, because I heard that some really rich people also, actually from the dark side now, I just read it a few days ago. It's like, yeah, way to go. That they giving in money to the light side to expose that shit.
No
and to
way.
help souls to, yeah. And so,
Come on, a Rothschild or a Rockefeller?
I don't know.
That's
what is
crazy,
going on
man.
there. I don't know what's going on there. I have to research that. But, I think with the unconditional love, we don't know what doors we could open in the hearts and the souls of people. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's a theory that the dark, and I guess we're sort of talking like everyone knows what we're talking about, but I guess to simplify it, I'll say that, let's just say that there's light and dark, and maybe the dark has a slight control grip on humanity, a lot of wars, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and the world's not organically like this in my eyes. So, there's, I guess there's a theory that the dark has gone so far that they are doing everything they can to keep it dark, because they either can't face the light because they can't go back, or it's the end of their essence, if they have an essence, or the fact is they're losing control of their power and control because the light's rising, which is natural. But the point I'm making is they're so dark that they'll do anything not to have to sort of come clean with the light.
Yeah. But that's an illusion.
Okay.
If I'm so sorry for people who know that name if I say it wrong, but I think his name is Milupra. I hope I say it right. But if this saint who did black magic and killed people in his life, if he turned over and he got it, everybody can get it. And I think that's what it is about right now, because
that's a good point.
Yeah. And that is also this maybe childish hope of some of the light workers we have.
Maybe well, what's weird is, like, I just thought, there's that whole distinction about we're human, and, as a soul, if we didn't have our bodies, if we were existing as spirit, we wouldn't have an ego. Like, the only thing that has an ego is the humanity or the human experience. So, society is very caught in their head, which I call your ego, your left brain, you're in your head, you're not in your heart, you're defending, you're making things wrong, which is, to me, what the ego does. So what just came to my mind is, the dark is so in their ego, and they're trying to keep all the collective consciousness in their head, in their ego, divided, fighting, arguing, defending, because when you're defending and you're arguing, you're not in your heart, right? You're in your ego. And it's funny, like even the darkest being is caught in his head as well. He can't see anything but being as dark as possible. But like you said, that one saint had the realization. Yeah, it's sort of like, it's like it's like at some point you might have a 1 ounce of compassion that that shifts you or changes you. Not, yeah. I'm just saying it's possible. What I'm trying to say is there is hope, to neutralize and extinguish the dark. So
we'll see, and it's a personal choice of everybody who is involved there. It's a personal choice, and
yeah.
But for sure is if that is one thing they don't understand. If we don't switch that around, they go down with it.
Yeah, that is true.
And that is a stupid thing on it. And this is what I personally don't understand, because I thought they would be more intelligent, that they have to at least have some balance. So if you claim all the power for yourself, if the dark is always claim all the power for themselves, there is no balance there. If they want to control everything naturally by law, everything has to go to zero. And
yeah. Well, also the more dark you are, the more light has to come, in a sense, because there has to be some sort of balance, right? So,
and it might get destroyed. And it's a beautiful beautiful movie and book. One of my favorite books I loved so much when I was a kid, and I just saw the movie 2 days ago. I don't know how to say in English. It's in German, Die unendliche Geschichte, The Immortal Story, I think you say.
Okay.
It's a children's book and a children's story, but actually at the end, the planet is destroyed, right?
Oh dear. Okay.
And then, but there's a beautiful divine soul, and she is like a real light, and at the end she is holding a sand corn in his hand, and she's saying, okay, now let's create new and better. And that is the Kali Yuga we are in. At the end, it says it comes into that state where everything comes one together again, and then it crashes. And then everybody understands at the end what karma is. A yogi once told me many years ago, and that was a very interesting experience. He read all the scriptures, and he told me, Bharati, there's a time where we still can incarnate, and there's a time where we will be not incarnating, but all the people who choose by will, and maybe that answers some of your questions, who choose now by will on which side they stand, they have to incarnate. And he read me the scriptures, which is written 3,000 years ago. How those guys 3,000 years know? From before. How is that possible? So he read that to me at a Hanuman temple on top of the mountain. He read that to me, and he told me, those people, they will get born sick. They have tumors. They will be gray already as a kid. They will turn maximum 20 years. They will have an ego. They know it all better. They all feel they're God. But the poison of the toxins of the mind, of the heart, of the ego, and also of the world will be so hard. They will be suffering so huge. And they have to incarnate in those cycles, and then those souls understand shit. Karma is real. So maybe that answers some of your questions. Yeah. That's why I'm talking always about this time frame where the souls can decide of what they want to do or not.
Wow.
And those souls, souls like me will be not coming in that time. And I will not feel sorry for those souls who will be incarnated.
No, I certainly won't. I'm done. I mean, I'm personally done. Yeah.
So now is the time. Now is the time frame. And if they don't get it right, they can have their manipulation way, and they can choose the suffering and everything. And that is why, many of the light workers still have so much compassion and love, because they know they also only got tricked in.
Yeah.
They also only got tricked in.
Yeah. Right? They got duped into coming here because it looked like, oh, I'm going to make change. And then you get here, you go, oh, shit, I bit off way too much than I can chew. And well, what you said is really powerful, because you're saying, listen, everyone, we're not talking about being a saint overnight. We're talking about tomorrow, help someone across the street. Stop talking badly about Trump or Biden. it's those little things that will shift huge, right? Just something like that could help.
Also, choose the right things to do. You know in your heart what is right and what's not right.
That's a big thing. It's basically, you know, there's a universal law from what my education in spirituality is, that do not harm another being, like, and do not steal, no theft. So literally, do not harm another being. If everyone on the planet lived by this one rule, and that means emotionally, physically, financially, do not harm another being, there'd be no need for locking your door. There'd be no need for an army. There'd be no, because that would basically render lying impossible, right?
Yeah. And
So,
there's a beautiful thing, you know, it's so beautiful you're saying that, because there is a place in India, I went there many times, and that's the place of Swami Ramalinga Valala, who actually emerged in his rainbow body and the light body, one of the highest spiritual experiences you can have in this human body. And so he actually didn't die, he transformed his body into light.
wow.
Yes. And in this place in Valhalla, they still at that time don't close their doors. They don't lock the doors, because they know they're protected still by this light.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like the sad part is the darkness has us in fear. They are keeping everyone in utter fear in every way. Even, you know, what am I going to get? Am I going to fail out of school? That's fear. Am I, you know, am I going to have enough money to pay the electric bill? That's fear. I mean, right? I mean, so yeah. And I always say, look, if we choose to come into a world of duality with contrast, okay, I just, like, the darkness has just gone way too far. I mean, you can have all your riches, but you have just, you know, there's a in England they say you're taking the piss, and they are taking the piss.
Absolutely.
You know, so wow, that was awesome. You know, so, and like, man, we're gonna have to have another one of these. So I really appreciate your time. And I mean, we could keep talking, but I think that was maybe a good place to end. I'm curious about your darkness retreats and your meditation, but maybe we'll do another show on meditation and your darkness retreats and stuff like that. But why don't you tell people where they can reach you and where they can see you on YouTube and stuff like that?
Right. So actually, they can reach me on my webpage, www.spiritbalance.com, and also Darkness Retreat. But there's a lot of change of what I'm doing. I'm thinking to start some Zooms soon with groups working on the shadows, working on our issues we all facing in this time, because everybody who knows a little bit what's going on, they're going through things.
Yeah.
And so if you want to know what I'm doing, what I'm up to, because a lot of changing for me too right now, and I'm also going with the moment. Sometimes I also don't know what I do next week. So I also feel a lot of guidance right now, and also some stop signs, and I don't know, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
They can sign up to my newsletter. So
okay. Is that through is it spiritbalance.com?
Yeah. Spiritbalance.com. There's a contact formula, so sign up to that and you get messages what I'm up to. And I also made a very interesting course. There's a free course series, and this is Third Eye Coachings. I will send it to you, so maybe you can link it.
Okay.
And there I'm actually teaching, there's a 7 free video, or 3, I don't know, 3 videos for free. Yes, I think, or 5. I'm always forgetting things in this matrix, where I'm teaching about the third eye and a course.
Yeah.
And
it's free. It's cool. How to open up your pineal gland, your third eye. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So what about is your YouTube channel Holo Vibes?
Yes. I made a little break on it because I had really intense own inner processes. And as I said, there are some things I'm not sure on, but that's why I made a little stop. But I will come back on that.
But there are some great shows on there with you and Danilo, and some really just amazing humans, you know, who are really just pure light, and just amazing. So with the cool thing about, you know, the stuff that you speak and that Danilo and that, you know, you guys are very, very from the heart, but you're also saying, hey, we're here we have to make a living, you know.
Yep.
So it's a good balance of self-realization, but not being a doormat in this matrix.
Yeah, we have to also see what we do. And Danilo also has interesting projects. I think he will talk about that soon in the next live stream, I think. And in his videos, he's creating an interesting app, you know,
That's cool.
in a way
He's
of to
great.
help humanity. He's a very,
you guys
very
are really good together, by the way. So
Yeah.
all right, well, I'll put everything in the description, and then
Yes.
you can put this on Holo Vibes too if you want as well. I'll send
That's
you
nice.
the video, and it was really a pleasure. I always feel really comfortable with you. I think it's you are from the heart, but you do have that, you know, kick-ass aspect to you, which is really cool. So this was totally unscripted, not that podcasts are, but we really just decided to have a Zoom call. So it was kind of cool where it went, and we'll have to do another one. And thank you for your time.
Thank you also.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I don't know, let me figure out how to stop recording. All right, I'm going to stop it. So everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you again. This is Bharati Glanert, and she has a YouTube channel, Holo Vibes, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.